there is a big difference between greed and
Mm,
growth.
mm,
When I
mhm.
collapsed with 120 guys, it was because it was all my growth was greed based. I just wanted to get more wealth for myself. That's
Yes.
it. I was
Yeah.
a selfish guy. I got, I saw the dollar and I fell in love with the dollar. Welcome to the Break Free Podcast with your host, David Mancella. Today we have with us Trevor Bills from out west. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Nice to be here, David.
How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's a beautiful fall day here, so just enjoying the weather.
Fantastic. Trevor, can you please tell me what do you do for a living and where do you live exactly?
Yeah. So I'm in northern Alberta, just outside of Edmonton, in a town called Whitecourt. My training and profession is that of a pharmacist. Um, so I have a couple of community pharmacies that we own and operate here in northern Alberta. So for me, though, am I a pharmacist? Well, of course, I'll always be that. But at this point, I'm more of a leader and an entrepreneur of my team, for my team, and that's what I get to do every day, is to lead my team to do great things.
That's
Mhm.
beautiful. So, in other words, you are an entrepreneur that happens to use pharmacy to bless the world with your products and services, right?
That's a great way of putting it. That's a great way of putting it, David. When you, for me, when you finish, you finish your university training and you're a pharmacist, and that for some people that really becomes their identity. And for me, it did for a while, but I knew I wanted to do my own thing and control my own destiny, so to speak. And realizing a couple of years ago that being a pharmacist wasn't necessarily my unique ability, but leading people and helping them to do their best work. That's really what I love to do, and I think where I do it well.
That is fascinating. But let's look back in your life and see how actually it is that you decided to go to pharmacy school.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what was on your mind on grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12? Like, how did you get into this
Mm-hmm.
idea of doing what is
Yeah.
it that you're doing now?
Well, I grew up on a farm, so the entrepreneurial spirit was pretty strong in my family. So my dad having his own business and then also having a farm and that sort of thing. So I kind of knew that I wanted to do that, to have my own business at some point. And going through junior high and high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was having too much fun. I was playing hockey and doing those things that you do in junior high and high school. And how did I end up in pharmacy? Well, we had a couple family friends that were pharmacists. One that was a pharmacist owner, had his own stores. And I think I just looked at that and thought, okay, maybe that'll work for me. I enjoyed the sciences. I love interacting with people, and that's something that we get to do a lot when you're in the pharmacy on a day-to-day basis. And so I don't even know exactly how I ended up on that. I know I was after high school, I was an exchange student. I spent a year living abroad. I lived in Australia for 12 months, and that changes your life when you leave home and go to another country for a year. And in that year, I just decided to apply and got in. And so that was kind of where it started.
Wait. So, what took you to Australia?
Well, like I say, I was fortunate enough to be selected. I was an exchange student. So I finished high school in Canada. And
Uh huh.
then I actually went and did another year of high school, which most people looked at me like I was crazy. But I did and did another year of high school in Australia. Through Rotary International, through the Rotary Club. So I had the chance to go there and meet some great people, have some awesome experiences, and really get immersed in that culture, and I lived right on the beach. Lived right on the
Oh
beach
my
for 12 months.
God.
So now I'm
Whereabouts?
I'm back inland again. But
What city?
I was just outside a small city called Coffs Harbour. So it's about halfway between Sydney and Brisbane, right on the east coast of Australia.
And so I guess you got to enjoy the a pseudo Canadian culture without the nasty weather.
Exactly. Like I say, literally, the little town I was in was called Wogoga, and the town or the house that I live in for most of the time, I never lived farther than 500 meters from the beach, and I would walk from my house to the beach, down the beach, up to the school. That was my walk to school, was on the beach. So for a prairie boy like I grew up in Alberta. It was a totally different experience, and just amazing. So you fall in love with the beach and you fall in love with the ocean. For myself, that being kind of my first exposure to it, really.
So how
Yeah.
was, in average, how was the weather like on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, I left Canada in July, which is summer here, and then I ended up in Australia in their winter, and I thought that was pretty easy because the winter there was maybe 3-4 degrees at night and
Celsius,
18 19
yeah.
degrees during the day, Celsius. So very very comfortable,
And just
very
for this,
comfortable.
we have audiences from all over the world. So just for the sake
Mhm.
of comparison, what's the
Mhm.
winter like in Alberta?
Yeah, well, in Alberta, we an average day in Alberta, it's minus 15, minus 20 Celsius in where I am, at least. That's a pretty average day, and it can get down as low as the minus 40s and that sort of thing, but hopefully for not too long. So one day, maybe
That,
I'll get out of here. I sometimes ask myself why I live here, but I live here because this is where home is, I guess.
yeah, your community. And actually, for me, weather has been a big issue my whole life. That's why I ask you all these temperature questions because I was born in Guatemala in a tropical country. The
Mm-hmm.
city where I was seeing was high enough above the sea level, so will be between 20 and 25 degrees all year round. In the
Mm-hmm.
winters, we were down to like 10 degrees, and that was very cold,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But it never got very hot. It wasn't humid. It's like 300 days of sunshine. The rain
Yeah.
will come, and in half an hour will go away, but everything will be completely green after that.
Right. Right.
So I came to Canada. I live in Ontario, and it's not like Alberta, but it's still minus 10, minus
Yeah.
15 average.
Yeah.
Our winters, we think it's 3 months, but it's really 6 months. We can
Yeah.
get snow in October, and we can
Yes.
still get snow early May, right?
Yes. Yes.
So for a long time, I didn't appreciate the winter. Actually, I I was looking seriously to moving to Australia
Mm.
because I fell in love with the Canadian culture. As you know, Canada has a uh, beautiful culture where we respect each other's opinions and we respect each other's way of life for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's still some people that don't do that, but for the most part, we're a very, very welcoming culture.
Yeah.
But the weather, oh my God, I couldn't sustain the winters. So I thought of moving to Australia, but now after being in Canada for over 30 years, I actually got to enjoy winters now.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's just your mindset, right? When you put the right meaning to what's going on outside your environment that you cannot control, is what makes you or breaks you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's funny that you said that you never left where you live, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And now I enjoy, like I said, I enjoy winters. It's just
That's
about getting into a sport that
yeah.
is with the weather and dressing up properly, right?
Yeah. Yeah, dressing up properly. And when you're in a country that's very, very hot, you go from air conditioned house to air conditioned car to air conditioned house. And for us, it's no different, right? When it's minus 15, you go from heated house to heated car to heated office or whatever. So it's the two extremes, I guess. But you bring up something there, David, and I was just thinking before we started about mindset. And it's exactly that when you talk about winters, um, there's going to be things that in our lives, in our businesses, that don't go the way we like it, or maybe we would prefer a different way. But when you have the right mindset, you can make it through. And having that mindset and being intentional about it ahead of time is just so important. Doesn't mean the person doesn't still feel it once in a while. It's not like I don't feel like, gee, I wish I didn't have this thing happening to me or my business or my family, or gee, I wish the weather wasn't so cold. but you can make it through it, and you can come out of it stronger on the other end when your mindset is such that, you know, it's a positive thing. You can work through it positively.
And another thing that I really appreciate now too is the changing of seasons. Before, when I was back home, I never appreciated how beautiful the weather was. You don't even think about the weather. You don't talk about the weather because it's always the same. When you come to Canada or a country that has 4 seasons, every season change is beautiful. Like, for example, right now we're going from summer into fall, and it's like, you know, beautiful sunny days, cooler temperature. The leaves are starting to change. It's gorgeous. And then we get Thanksgiving after that, and that's almost like an invitation for Christmas time and celebration again. Then winter comes, and that's where you have to manage your mindset. Like right after New Year's is when I thought, okay, I gotta get out of here. Now I'm like, no, I gotta change my mindset, go downhill skiing, go skating, dress properly, and still enjoy the weather, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Hurts.
So was there anything during your because you know, doing one more high school year, for a kid that just graduated high school must be something that looks horrible. But what you did is you took another year in culture building, in building your temperament, in building your abilities, your capacity to work with the unknown. Like that travel year, I bet defined your life for a long time, right?
100%. Driving on the other side of the road, you don't know the person picking you up at the airport. You miss something, but you know, you show up there and you go to a new home, and you got to make new friends, and all of those things that you know, challenge a person and kind of challenge for who you are a little bit. And you know, for me, it was absolutely that, a huge year of maturing. You know, I was 18 years old, and you know, I went to school. I took some courses that I didn't take. You know, I was an academic guy, so I took the academic courses in Canada. Well, when I went there, I decided, well, I'm going to take photography, and I'm going to take, you know, these other courses and art and things that I didn't have time for when I was going through my schooling in Canada. So that was amazing too. And then also to have the freedom to say yes to opportunities. So absolutely a maturing year for me. And I would agree, definitely defined my life, all of it right from the start. You know, just the big part of it is saying yes. You know, when I think about when the opportunity was kind of presented to me to say, yeah, I could do that. You know, I didn't know it at the time, but I know now that was a defining moment, right? Choosing to say, yes, I want to do that, and go do it. And, you know, different opportunities that come up along the way, and saying yes is a big challenge, but you have to be, you know, confident in yourself and confident in your own abilities.
Definitely. You know, we used to take those 1 week vacations with our kids when they were little. But then when when my daughter started grade 6 and my son was in grade 10, we took a long holiday, like a 30-day holiday to Southeast Asia, Thailand and Bali. And we took them right out of school 1 month before graduation, a month and a half before graduation. So they only had 15 days when they came back. And actually, I didn't know if we were going to come back because I needed some time to, you know, get together with the family, because I was working for too many hours for too long.
Right.
And we thought they were going to fail. And I was okay with that. You know, they were going to fail school. Little did I know that my wife went to every principal and she got all the content. She homeschooled the kids for during that time. But instead of taking 6-7 hours a day, she was doing maybe 4 hours a week.
Right.
And we were just traveling, getting to know different cultures, learning to be in the unknown. They came back and they actually upgraded their grades twice. So instead of failing, they actually went better than most of the other kids. And because this happened, I'm like, okay, so if we can do this, we can push the envelope. So the next year we went out for 2 months, and the next year we went for 3 months. And they just got better. Now they are adults, and the way of their professional growth and their spiritual growth, their emotional growth is just unbelievable. And it's just because they have all these life experiences where they have to adapt to some environment that they are not familiar with, right?
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah. yeah, it's, what happens to us when we're put into those situations. And I mean, doing it with younger kids and teens and that sort of thing really does help to just, mold who they are and prepare them for the real world. Because you and I both know the real world doesn't always go, protected. It doesn't go as planned, and you have to deal with it. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
It's funny because my younger daughter now she's an adult and everything else, but right after her first year university, she just sent us an email saying, "Mom, Dad, I'm gonna leave. I'm going to Korea and Japan, and I'll be back in a month and a half." Just by herself with another friend another friend from
Yeah.
university that was from Korea, and they had a wonderful time. And for us was she knows how to travel. She knows how to make good decisions. Go and be blessed. We're never worried, right? And that's another thing, the sense of freedom. So I
Yes.
believe the more you step onto the unknown, and the more you can actually thrive on unknown environments, the better a person you become, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's, that's the heart of entrepreneurism. That's the heart of,
Yeah,
business is stepping into the unknown.
definitely. So when did you take the decision to go into pharmacy school? Was it right away on that extra year, or you just went to a general uh, course or something?
Yeah. So, I mean, I decided that that's what I wanted to do, and you had to take some general courses prior to getting into the program itself. So I was able to, take those general courses, and then you had to have a certain grades and apply into the program, and then I was able to do that. So, that all happened during that year that I decided to apply for the general courses, and then took the general courses and got in the year after that. And so then, 5 years of university later, there we go. I'm out. And that, and then we came to Whitecourt, and I had a job in Whitecourt. And I talked about saying yes earlier, and 18 months I'd been in Whitecourt for 18, not even 18 months. I'd been in Whitecourt for about 5 months, and I got a phone call from a colleague, a mentor of mine, saying, hey, we're thinking about opening a pharmacy in Whitecourt. Would you like to be a part of that? And I said yes. And I didn't hesitate. I said yes. And so, long story short, a few years later, or a few months later, in 2011, we opened up. So we were just celebrating our 10th year,
Wow,
and it's gone. It's amazing. It's amazing the growth that I had to take to learn how to do all these things, and having a mentor with me was really important. And 5 years ago, moving into a second store, and now having the two of them that we have, and looking for growth opportunities as well. That's kind of where things have gone the last 10 years for me.
that's beautiful. So you jumped right out of university into your own business?
About 16 months of work, and then I was into my own business after that. So yeah, it was pretty quick. It was
That
pretty
is
quick.
amazing. You
Yeah.
know what a blessing that is? I tried
Mm-hmm.
to do that right out of university, and I almost went bankrupt. I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea what I was doing. I had no mentor because, I mean, my mentor was my brother. He's a very successful entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
but he had no knowledge about computer science. So I tried to open my computer science business, and I struggled for 2 years. I thank God I was able to sell it for the amount of money that I was in debt. And then I
Mm-hmm.
had to go get a real job. My wife said,
Yes.
you gotta go
Yes.
get a real job because I'm sick and tired of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sponsoring the family, because instead of making money, I was losing money.
Yes. Yes. No, absolutely, absolute blessing. Absolute blessing. I mean, even the things that just to get started, to have this mentor of mine say, "Hey, let's do this together." And I'm not going to say there wasn't hiccups along the way. With partnerships and different things like that, there's always hard discussions and hard decisions and all of that have to happen. But we did it. Over the course of about 5 or 6 years, I became the sole owner, and but having that mentor there, that's what I was getting at, having that mentor there to help me scale the learning curve that I had to climb to run my own business was really important. Yeah.
Did you ever take any course on accounting or entrepreneurship or anything like that?
No. I mean, it was all kind of learn as you go. I'm a very high fact finder on the Colby numbers. So for me, I just dug in and found all the facts I could and learned as much as I could as I went. And so it's been good, but it's not to say it's not without hiccups. And that's often what I'll say to, people that talk to me about, starting their own business or having, buying a business and things like that. Is I'll say, look, you got to have somebody on your side who's more experienced than you, who you respect and can mentor you, whether that's in a formal capacity as a mentor, or whether that's just somebody you can pick up the phone and call them once or twice a week and ask them questions. Like that was huge for me. And I think, that's often one of my tips for those that are looking at new ventures.
Actually, that's a great point. With that, you can save anybody 10 years of work and hardship. Because I wish I would have known that when I did it. Instead, what I had to do is I had to go to the corporate world and learn how business are run, working for different corporations, which was a blessing. But it took me 10 years to open my business again. 10 years.
Yeah.
So that if I would have gotten a mentor like you did, I could have just kept going and would have been successful 10 years faster, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And then, then that mentor and I mean, we still talk. I just talked to him yesterday. But that brings you to a certain point, and then you start looking outside of that. You start looking to others and those that you want to spend time with and talk to, and these kind of things, and your network starts to grow, and then that's where really some of the magic can happen, and the breakthroughs in your own mind can happen in terms of what's important or what directions you want to go and that sort of thing. And the more recent thing that's been one of the best decisions that we made was, shortly after the transition from having partners to having, my wife and I be the sole owners of our store. I kind of looked at my wife and I said, okay, I can work 6 days a week, and maybe take Sundays off, and we can, have this sort of lifestyle and where I'm working all the time and maybe pay off some debts and those kind of things. Or I can start looking for somebody to come and join us and work for us, and I can have more free time and I can have more, free brain. My brain can be free to think about different things and spend time with the family and all of that. And we made the decision to, hire somebody and bring them on, because, that's been probably the biggest or best decision in the last 5 years that's really helped me move forward, because I'm sure glad I'm not, grinding it out in the store 6 days a week right now.
But it must have been a very, very scary decision, though, because especially when you start up small and your resources are very limited, you're thinking, oh my God, what if I only have enough money to pay this person and then we end up with nothing? Yes. Which is your basic human needs showing up and being scared, right? Yeah. But how do you go through that scarcity mentality into thinking, no, the business will provide? Because that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, right?
Well, I mean, it is scary, when you are doing exactly what you said. You're going, okay, well, and it's also I'll get back to the scary part, but it's also takes some of your pride, because especially when you're a solo kind of person, you're that solo entrepreneur, and you've built this thing to be yours and it's your baby, and now you're thinking about, well, having somebody else look after your baby, sort of thing. And but the pride part has to go to the back seat, because what I can tell you on the other side of it is that the people that now I have involved on my team they're better pharmacists than I am. And I'm not too proud to say that. They bring so much more to the business. So you're scared because you think, well, if I'm just paying this person whatever the dollars are, and what is the business still going to grow? Is there going to be money left for me? What's the profitability going to be? All of these different things that we're thinking about. But really, when you bring the right people on, it just opens up a whole new world sort of thing, where, they've got a set of skills that you don't have, maybe. And in this case, that's what happened. Somebody comes in that has different skills, better skills, connects with different people. I might connect with this type of person, they connect with a different type of person, and we really complement each other. And it's just amazing what happens. And also, realizing that you can do this, and if it's not working, then you have to just be able to figure it out, work with it, find go a different direction, whatever it is. It's not we're not committing for life to one thing or another. You're committing to try it, and if it works, then great. And if it doesn't work, being willing to say, okay, this isn't working, let's figure out a different way to do it.
Thank you for that, because that's an amazing advice for any entrepreneur. That's the art of pivoting. It's not about not doing it because you're afraid. It's about doing it, trying it out. If it works, you do more of it. If it doesn't work, you try something else until you finally figure out what works, right? For me, it took me a long time. I was so proud of my architecture work, of my coding skills, that I thought I could never find somebody better than me. And that kept me slave to my business for a long time, to the point that one of my mentors told me, David, if you don't stop writing code, if you don't uninstall your compilers from your computer, I will never give you another word of advice, because you're wasting my time. That's when I actually realized that I better follow. But it was expensive. Like, getting a senior architect is a lot of money. It's a $6-figure salary. And I was very small back then. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. Turns out that was the pivotal point for my growth, because now I realize that I can achieve through others, so I can actually help more businesses. It's not only David and a couple of programmers. It's now it's an army.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what you said. It's like, it's a big step. It's this big dollars, and it's all of these things that we're scared, and we think, okay, well, how is this ever going to work? But I think, until you like take that step of hiring somebody that's better than you, I think or better than you at certain things, or has different skills than you have. Like, to me, that's reaching another level as an entrepreneur. There's lots of people who own businesses and are great entrepreneurs, but I don't know if it's pride, I don't know what it is, but they wouldn't hire somebody who's smarter than them. They wouldn't hire somebody who's better than them, and it limits their growth. Yeah. But being willing and able to say, look, I want to work with, I want to collaborate with, I want to have this person on my team because they're so good at this. And yeah, it's going to cost me some money, but it's going to grow exponentially because of the skill set that they bring. It's just, again, taking the business to another level. It's really taking, the mind to another level. The mindset of the entrepreneur has to just move up that one little bit to say, no, I'm going to, I love how you said that, David, I'm going to achieve through others. I'm going to achieve through others. I'm going to grow through others. I'm not going to grow on my own. I'm going to grow through other people. And that's the beauty of it.
And also, you share the love and you share the blessings with other people too, not only yourself. But I think it's also the way the education system works. And it's very specific, by the way. It's for people like you and me, that we go to a specific career, we have a technical skill, and we get rewarded for getting better at those technical skills. So that the more individualized you are and the better you rank against your peers, the more pride you get, because you get rewarded. Then you go into an entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial scenario where that no longer works. But you still have my university background where, like, I gotta be the best guy in school, right? I gotta go to the top. And then that creates a pride, which basically pride is a higher version of an ego, right? It's your ego saying, I am the only one that can do it, so I don't trust anybody with what I'm doing because my clients will get mad, or I won't have enough money. That's a scarcity mentality
Yes.
around the ego. And by the way, the ego is just a way to protect our basic human needs. You want to have certainty. You want to be able to have relevance and show people that you know what is it that you think you know. But once you break through that, it's beautiful because it's freedom. How many entrepreneurs, and by the way, that's why I have this podcast. It's called the Break Free Podcast, because the majority of entrepreneurs, they get stuck in their own jail. They make a jail out of their own business so that they are working 16 hours a day. They are working 7 days a week. And I did that for a long time, for at least 8 years, until I was blessed with enough people that indicated to me that, I was doing it wrong.
Well, and you're right. The break free, like, to me, it's breaking free from that jail of working in your business all the time. And it's not to say that, when we're not working in our business that we're, at home on the couch or whatever, it's we're still working, but it's working in a different way. And I think that the breaking free part. So if a person has their own business and they're tied to it and they have to be, if they aren't there, it doesn't run, sort of an idea. Then we own a really good job. Maybe we don't maybe own a business. Yeah. We maybe own a really good job. Yes. And when you remove yourself just that little 1 degree, remove ourselves or empower others to do, great things through and in our business. Now all of a sudden we have a business, and now all of a sudden we can duplicate that business, multiply that business, exponentially multiply that business if we choose to, or find the right way. And for me, like I'm talking about, you talk about growth and looking for areas to grow, and that's that's what I think most entrepreneurs, we're always looking for areas for growth. And then the other part that comes in is patience, is that, what, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to look for growth, and I'm going to look for growth, and I'm going to look for growth. And sometimes that's not going to happen when we want it to. It's not going to be instant as we would like it to be instant. But I think if we have that mindset that our eyes are open and ready to say yes, and ready to have other people that are better than us involved, and that we don't let our pride get in the way, but just that we can facilitate that, then it will come, and the growth will happen. And yes, even if it doesn't, in the meantime, we have some freedoms. We have the beautiful world that we live in, and the time to spend with our families, and all of those things that we, for myself, are very important. And when growth happens, hopefully those things just grow as well.
In fact, if you push growth too much, if you are too persistent, it explodes on you. That's what happened to me. I went from being like, I think we were like 7, 8 guys for a long time to 120 people in 2 years. And that almost killed me. So that I had to go back to 6 guys 3 years later, just try to rebuild and realize that what I was doing, it was completely wrong. Now we're growing, but we're growing in a very beautiful, sustainable way. Like you said, investing in capacity before the growth comes, right? Actually, a lot of companies go out of business because they grow too fast.
Right.
And another thing that I want to make clear for our audience is that there is a big difference between greed and growth. When I collapsed with 120 guys, it was because my growth was greed-based. I just wanted to get more wealth for myself. That's it. I was a selfish guy. I saw the dollar and I fell in love with the dollar. Now my growth is to bless the world with the skills that we have been given by hiring more people, but also blessing more companies with our skill sets. And by the way, there is a contribution component of that we established in 2013 when we reestablished the company again, where we actually, a portion of what we make, we give away unconditionally. Because I learned that there is a single rule in the universe, and this one rule is so important. Everything is meant to grow. If you look at how the universe is expanding, it never stops. Everything grows. And if it doesn't grow, it's because it's dying. So either you grow or you die. You may have an illusion that you're stable, but that's just an illusion. So if you don't have a growth mindset, you're eventually going to die. That's exactly what it is. And it's just a universal rule. I don't know why it works or how it works, but we can measure it, and that's the way it is.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Like you say, it's, and just touching on that greed point again, it's, I'm sure you've had the question, and I'm sure, the audience has had the question of, well, what motivates you? Why do you want to grow? Or somebody looks at you and what you have in your business or your life, and they think, well, you already have all of whatever you have. Why would you want more? You must be greedy. Some people jump to that conclusion, that sort of thing. And sometimes it's hard to put a finger on exactly what it is that, or why it is that we want to grow. But I love that, because that's exactly, you put some language to it for me. If I'm not growing, I feel like I'm dying. For me, it's all about growth. It's about, and that doesn't necessarily mean growth in, finances. It might mean growth in free time. It might mean growth in, my ability to say yes to an opportunity. It might mean growth. There's all kinds of ways we define it. Our freedoms, our growth, all of that. And so I think that's exactly what it is. It's, the motivation is about the freedoms. The motivation is about growth and not dying, because we know that if we just continually grow and grow, then we'll continue to be stimulated and engaged and interacting and meeting new people. And that's what for me is the satisfaction part of being an entrepreneur. It's it's not about the finances. I mean, you've got to have some finances. Let's face it, we all have basic needs, but
Of course.
but
But it's so little, brother.
yes.
Honestly, to be happy, you need so little, right? Have you thought about that? Like, I look at my life and I'm like, actually, to be happy, all I need to do is cover this much, and it's not that much. Everything else if it just gives you more comfort or more pride.
Yes.
And if you do it for pride, you are screwed.
Well, I'm sure you have, and I know I have, you've been to places where people have nothing, compared to what you and I are blessed with. And they're happy.
I would say happier than most North Americans.
Absolutely.
Right?
So we can't say then that it's money that causes happiness. It's something deeper, and there's more to it than that. That's for sure.
For me, I'm in the stage in my life that I want to grow as much as I can, so I can give as much as I can back. Because I found that a very important part of my happiness is that contribution piece. So actually, when you actually give unconditionally, something happens that you get blessed more just by the fact that you're giving. People think that the people that receive is the one that get the benefit, but it's the opposite. If you really are giving unconditionally without expecting anything in return, the gratification is instant, and it's actually very addictive. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So that why not? If I have capacity, if I can actually bless other people with employment and bless other companies with our products and services, so that we make more money, so that we can give more, it's everybody wins, right? Everybody wins.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
What has been one of the most difficult situations in your business, and how do you overcome that?
I think, when you, for me at the stage that I'm at, when you lose a key person, so they maybe leave for some reason that you couldn't control, they want to be in another community, another city, something like that. There can be some internal feelings of, what did I do wrong? Why didn't this person stay? That sort of thing. So for me, getting past that, and then realizing and kind of switching it around to say, that this was a great person. They were here for a while. They did help me do some great things. But there's somebody else out there. There is abundant resources and abundant people. I just have to find the right person to get involved, and we'll grow even more. So I think the hard part is kind of just getting over the and it's only happened, once or a few times, where somebody leaves for a reason that you wish you could change it, but you can't. They said to me, great job, wrong city. Well, I can't move the city right now. So, so you
Not
just
yet.
have to say, well, okay, then, I wish it wasn't that way. So
Right.
that's been a hard thing. Um, and then, when you have, um, and when you have people that are part of your business that, at the start maybe, and especially what's happened for me over the course of the last 10 years is I've changed, and what my expectations of my staff has and my team has changed. And so trying to make sure you bring everybody along with you is hard sometimes to do
Yeah.
that. So, having those conversations and trying to bring somebody along with is sometimes a bit difficult.
That's
Hmm.
that's completely true.
Hmm.
Actually, we went through a big shift this year in our business where a lot of people were moving around. We have people in 8 countries,
Hmm.
9 countries now, I think. And for some reason, because of COVID and everything else, we had our turnover is about very low, it's about 4%. But this year was very hard for us. And it was reasons like that, right? That people were changing countries or like something happened in their family that they had to actually look after somebody else's business.
Right.
And thank God we had standard operating procedures. Thank God we had
Hmm.
enough documentation to survive because we had a ton of clients and my compromises with my clients. So, but we were so blessed that we were able to hire fast and
Hmm.
we're beginning to stabilize again. But it was 2 months that it was very hard, which is another great point, right? Like you said, two things can really break your business: low sales and also understaffing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Both of them, because if you start failing to your clients, eventually you will lose your reputation.
Yes.
And if you
Yes.
don't bring enough income, you cannot pay your employees.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all part of it. And I think, as we're looking for, the right team members to join us, whatever that looks like, um, it's having those right people get involved. There's also times when we want to have we want to have the right person, and you might be better off to have nobody than the wrong person.
Mhm.
There for a time, right? For me, it's fortunate because I can jump back in, I can be the pharmacist again, and even though I'm not, the up to the same level maybe as some of my staff, I have different skill sets. And so I can do that for a time, and then we can bring somebody new in, and we can, bring them in as part of the team. But it's really important to find the right person and the right mindset to get involved.
For sure.
Hmm.
Brother, thank you so much for your time. I know it's very valuable. I want to ask you one last question so that I don't abuse too much of your time.
Oh
But
no.
this is part, I love this question. It's very important. Tell me, if you had access to a billboard in the busiest highway on earth, what would you write in it?
Say thank you.
Thank you. Say thank
Gratitude.
you.
Say thank you.
Yes.
Gratitude.
Yes. That's amazing.
Hmm.
Simple and profound, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's I think that gratitude and saying thank you for the things in our life now, whether that's just saying it, to ourselves or our family, or whether that's saying it to God or whatever, other belief we might have, but saying thank you, changes a person's outlook. um, Even in the hardest situations, looking around and finding there's always something to say thank you for. And I think that can really just change our lives, and change our hearts and change our minds.
That's beautiful. It's
Mhm.
funny because one of the things that I changed a couple of years ago is I don't go into a meeting before we do a round table and say one thing that we're thankful for.
Mhm.
Every meeting that I run, I do, even with my investors. I had an investors meeting last night and I got them to say one thing that they were thankful for before the meeting started. And it just changes the dynamic.
Mhm.
It just opens your heart and it enables you to look at whatever it is that you're doing in different eyes, right? It brings you from your brain to your heart so that they get synchronized so that you make better decisions.
Mhm. Mhm.
Isn't that incredible?
No, it is. It's an incredible thing. I mean, I remember the first time I did like a 21-day kind of gratitude practice, right? For 3 weeks, you're just writing things down, writing things in gratitude, and I've done it more than once, because there's times when you find your mind kind of going, oh, I'm getting too bogged down and stuff. So you know what, every day let's say thank you for something. And even just, you know, having this conversation and saying, gee, thank you for that conversation with David today. Now my afternoon will go, you know, differently, because I'm entering it already in gratitude.
It's fantastic, brother. It's my time to say thank you again. Your time is so valuable. If people like to find you on social media, or they have some questions to ask you about their own business, maybe their own pharmacy they want to build, where can they find you?
Yeah, so look me up. I'm on LinkedIn, Trevor Bills, Bills. And you know, you can also check out our pharmacy website, www.lifemedrx.ca, and you can see what me and my team are doing there. But it'd be great to chat with anybody. I love having these conversations, David, so appreciate it.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much, brother. Have a beautiful rest of the week. And again, my audience and I thank you with the bottom of our hearts.
Take care.
Cheers. Blessings.
That's all for today's episode of the Break Free Podcast. Head on over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Starting your own business can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. Visit davidmansilla.com to pick up a copy of the #1 international best-selling book, Breaking Out of Corporate Jail. Expand what you consider to be possible and reach your full potential. And join us on the next episode.